Thousands of civilians on the run as fighting erupts on the border between North and South Sudan. Abyei town is now under the command of Khartoum's army. This just months ahead of South Sudan's long-awaited independence. What's behind the latest escalation? Will this turn into another protracted war between the Sudanese? This is Inside Story. I'm Jane Dutton, you're watching Inside Story. In 2005, Africa's longest-running civil war came to an end. 22 years of violence ripped Sudan apart. 2 million people were killed, another 4 million displaced. And now, just 48 days before South Sudan is due to secede from the north, it looks like the country could once again be on the brink of war. Right now, the conflict is focused on one area, Abyei. The North Sudanese army has taken control of the town after days of fighting against southern forces. Khartoum accused the south of attacking one of its convoys, escorted by UN troops on Thursday, killing 22 northern soldiers. Both sides have recently deployed forces in and around Abyei. Now, that's in breach of the 2005 Comprehensive Peace Agreement, or the CPA. Western officials say the escalation has the potential of igniting an all-out war. But why Abyei? Well, let's take a closer look. It sits here, a 4,000 square mile area on the ill-defined border between the north and the south. It has fertile grazing land shared by both the Jazeera from the north and the Dinka from the south. And after a recent redrawing of its boundary, one significant oil field. Abyei residents were due to vote in January over whether to join the north or the south. Disputes over who could take part in the voting derailed that ballot, and nothing has been done since. Sudan's President Omar Hassan al-Bashir, ruling from the capital Khartoum, says he will not recognize the South's secession unless it gives up a claim on Abyei made in the South draft constitution. And now he has removed the two heads of the Abyei administration and dissolved the region's administrative council. South Sudan is ruled from Juba by President Salva Kiir under a peace agreement signed by both sides in 2005. Southerners voted overwhelmingly in January to create their own state. And secession is due to officially take place on July the 9th. But could this escalation of violence in Abyei stop the secession? The recent tension comes as the UN Security Council was due to hold talks with the Khartoum government over the future of Abyei. That visit was cancelled. The United States has called on Khartoum to withdraw its troops immediately. France has also condemned the violence. So what can the international community do? And is this war? Well, let's talk to our guests and find out. From Khartoum, Rabie Abdul Atti, a member of the NCP and advisor to the Minister of Information of the Sudanese government. From Beirut, Eddie Thomas, a writer and author of Against a Gathering, Securing Sudan's Comprehensive Peace Agreement. And joining us on the line from the Southern Sudan capital, Juba, Barnaba Benjamin, Minister of Information for the government of Southern Sudan. Welcome, gentlemen, all of you. Mr. Abdul Atti, what's going on here? What are your troops doing?
Yes, actually, the attack by SPLM to against the military of the government, this is caused what developed later, and which led the army of the government to actually take all the region of Abyei. And as we know that Abyei is still a part of the north unless there is a referendum to be conducted according to protocol of Abyei and the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. And whenever the result is positive or negative, Sudan government will accept this result, as we have accepted the result of the referendum of the self-determination of the South, and the South will be an independent country on 9th of July.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this attack, if I may. Does an attack on a convoy justify this kind of indiscriminate shelling that your troops have made on Abyei town, causing thousands of people to flee?
No, Abyei, according to our belief, that is 100% now, up to now, is a part of the north. And the CPA and the protocol of Abyei decided or mentioned clearly that there should be a referendum, and
no, but I'm asking if this action is justified, regardless of who the area belongs to. Is this type of action justified?
Yes, it is justified because this is the responsibility and this is within the jurisdiction of the presidency to decide, because this is the responsibility of the federal government to achieve security and to achieve peace in this area, so as till the referendum be conducted. And after that, I think that everything will be solved according to the result of the referendum.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, what's your response to that?
The fighting in Abyei is an invasion from the Sudanese armed forces, which was completely illegal and unconstitutional. Abyei is supposed to be administered by a special administration under the presidency according to the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. And the decision whether it has to be a part of the South or a part of the North, this will depend on the referendum and the choice of the 9 Ngok Dinka chiefdoms and any other resident of Abyei. So if Abyei was a part of the North, there would be no agreement on a protocol specifically on Abyei. Abyei was transferred by an administrative order in 1905 to North for logistical reasons. So for them to claim that Abyei is a part of the North is not true, because...
well, it actually is part of the North. It was agreed that the North would hold on to Abyei until independence, until some sort of decision was made, which was supposed to have happened before your independence.
It was agreed. It was not said that Abyei would be held by the North. It was agreed it would be held by the presidency. And the presidency consists of the president himself, the first vice president, and the president of the government of South Sudan, and vice president Dr. Adis Manta. These form the presidency. And it is this administration which actually reports to this presidency, not to the national government. Until these people go for a referendum, which will decide whether they will go back to the South or remain in the North. So the claim that it is a part of the North, it is not true. It is not according to the Comprehensive Peace Agreement that we signed in 2005, and that is the reality of it.
Okay, I suspect there's always 3 sides to every story. If you excuse me interrupting, can we just bring in Mr. Thomas? Can you clear this up for us, as far as you know? And I know you've studied the CPA a lot. What is the situation there?
Well, I think that the citizens of Abyei, according to the Abyei Protocol, Abyei does have a special administrative status. So it's correct to say that it's still part of North Sudan, in the sense that it's still part of South Kordofan state to some extent, but its citizens also have rights in Warab state, which is in South Sudan. There isn't really an entity called Northern Sudan yet, or there's an entity called Southern Sudan, but there isn't yet an entity called Northern Sudan. That entity, or whatever the successor state based in Khartoum will be called after July the 9th, may then be able to make claims about the territory of Northern Sudan. But I'm a bit puzzled at the notion that Abyei can be part of a political entity called Northern Sudan. It's a special administrative zone at the moment.
Okay, so
according
this
to the
special
administrative
zone fighting is underway. Mr. Benjamin, can I just put it to you? I mean, what did you expect? What sort of response did you expect when your troops did attack this convoy?
First of all, there are no SPLA troops that have attacked the convoy.
Well, I think this has been confirmed by the UN and some Western officials.
Can I finish? Within the Joint Integrated Unit. These are the Joint Integrated Units which consist of both of Sudan Armed Forces and the Sudan People's Liberation Army, which are supposed to be in the area. An individual who shot the single bullet that went through, and then the response, and then the confusion arose. And out of this confusion, and as you know, when there is a tension which is very high, you always get confusion arising in military situations. So there was no intention whatsoever. Even these UN troops were even being accompanied by the commander of the Joint Integrated Unit of the Southern SPLA. Say that there was an SPLA presence in Abyei is not true. They have now entered Abyei, and they didn't find an SPLA troops in Abyei. So
well, the UN is very concerned about the increase of violence in the border region between the northern and southern part of the country. Mr. Abdul Atti, can I put it to you? The fact that this fighting is going on, I mean, your troops aren't even supposed to be there. They're supposed to have withdrawn from Abyei by this week, and the only thing that should have been left there was a special joint force made up of units from both sides. So what are you doing there in the first place?
Yes, I think that now, and I can confirm that now Abyei region is completely under the control of the government of the North and the federal government, and this is not against the CPA or against the protocol of Abyei. And I don't think that whenever the armed forces of the government control Abyei region, this will be against the CPA. We are fully committed to CPA. We are fully committed to the protocol of Abyei.
But you are breaking the rules of the CPA by having your army in Abyei. You should have withdrawn by now. Yes, that is correct.
Yes, even the South, we know, is not an independent country unless that referendum conducted, and it will not be recognized as a country unless 9th of July comes. That is why I think that SPLM should refer to this protocol of Abyei and CPA and understand clearly what mentioned about the referendum of Abyei, whether to opt for being a part of the South or a part of the North. But for the time being, I think that this is from the jurisdiction and the responsibility of the presidency.
Mr. Thomas, what do you think is happening at the moment? Are we seeing the beginning of a war?
Oh, well, I sincerely hope it isn't the beginning of a war. I think Abyei is turning into a very serious problem. I think it's a kind of sounding board. That is to say, a place where anger and frustration of the two parties to the CPA can be expressed, but it's also a place where it can be contained. So I think it's a way for...
How can it be contained? Will it need
because the
outside forces?
The fighting... no, because the fighting... there's been a number of serious fights in Abyei. But it's been contained within that area. It hasn't spread further along the border. So I think that maybe both parties have been using the area as a place to send messages to each other. And I hope that that's still what's happening here, that there's a solution that can be found that allows the country to continue the political process it began in 2005. Which should result in the separation of the South in a month or so's time. So I think that I sincerely hope that they will both seek to contain the violence in Abyei. It's very, very sad, very tragic that this place that has seen so much violence is once again thrown into all this conflict. But I really hope that it's about some people sending messages to each other, and I hope that they can come to a resolution soon about it.
Well, this message is pretty clear from President Bashir and Mr. Benjamin. I want to ask what you make of this. Bashir said, I say it and I repeat it for the millionth times, Abyei is northern and it'll remain northern.
Well, that is not absolutely true. That is the wrong statement from the head of the country, which until today, as Thomas was saying, is still a united country under the Constitution until on the 9th of July. And for the president who has signed the agreement that there shall be a referendum and a commitment to it, it is in fact it indicates the militancy that the Sudanese armed forces have on the issue of Abyei. And already they are lifting people into the area now, we understand.
Mr. Abdul Atti, Mr. Bashir also said that he wouldn't recognize the South's independence unless it gave up a claim on Abyei made in the South's draft constitution. Is that still the case?
Yes, I myself also, I believe that Abyei is the northern part, and it should be actually a part of the North up to now, unless there is a referendum to be conducted to decide by Abyei people. And I think that SPLM is actually incorrect when defining the citizenship in Abyei tribally. They are saying that only Abyei is an area of Denkangok, whereas Miseria are forming 90 or maybe 85% of the citizens. It is not actually something reasonable when defining the citizenship in Abyei, whether tribally or professionally. A farmer or a pasteur in Abyei, whereas he is residing, I think that he is a citizen and he is entitled to vote in the upcoming referendum of Abyei. And according to this information,
that was thrown out.
Fact,
so
I think
you've
that
already had
Abyei
this discussion.
completely
That was thrown out by the international community, and you all agreed on that. So it's time to move forward, isn't it? You spoke about the Miseria, that's mainly a tribe from the north. Often they come into some sort of conflict with the Dinka from the south. The Miseria are saying that they believe, along with the Dinka, that their politicians, you guys up in the north, are using them to create conflict in the area.
No, this is not correct completely, and I think that what mentioned and what stated by our president is completely correct. And let us not argue about this. We should wait for the result of referendum of Abyei people, and till that time, I think that Abyei will be still a part of the north. And if the people of Abyei opt to be a part of the south, also we will accept this. And I think that even the South now is not a separate or
right, you will accept it if Abyei says it wants to be part of the South?
Unless this announced on 9th of July.
You will accept that if Abyei
Yes.
says it wants to be part of the South? You'll go against what your president says?
Yes. This is what we think. I think that our presidency now is issuing actually so many decrees and dissolving the local administration of Abyei, and this is not exceeding or going beyond the jurisdiction and the responsibility and the authorities of our President, Field Marshal Omar Hassan al-Bashir.
Okay, I'd like to paint a picture of what's really going on across what will soon be two countries. Thousands of Southern Sudanese have been living in the northern part of the country until recently, enthused with the knowledge that they could soon have their own country. Many of them rushed to what would be their new home. But as in the case of Angelo, it hasn't been an easy journey. Casey Kaufman has the story.
It's an exciting homecoming for Angelo, to a place he's never been. His mother escaped the violence of South Sudan in the mid-1980s. Angelo and his brother and sister were all born in Khartoum. This is his first step in the land he had only seen on Google Earth.
Good, man. Just I watched it. Can you believe this? Can somebody believe this? Just watch it in the map, you know? And this is by satellite, you know, by satellite. And this is so bad, you know? I can't believe I arrived right now and I put my foot on my grandfather's land. Now I'm glad to see that. Thank you.
But the excitement wears off as the reality kicks in. Angelo feels he was just dumped here, in a place the southern government is calling a transit site.
Can somebody live like this? Maybe I don't think so, you know. But we try to thinking, and we will put this blaming for the government of the north. You know, them to them, you know, because they are so bad. If they are good with us, we can't come here, you know. Even we can live with them here. All this blame I will put it to the government of the north.
People had high expectations coming back to the south. Some were even hoping to find a job and a piece of their own land. But for now, they've been told to wait right here at this open lot. But there's no time to waste. A few branches and some reed mats can provide shelter, and the Abyei family gets right to work.
This hut might not even fit all of us, and I'm sick of eating dried fish. I think it might be better to go back to Khartoum.
But her older brother's mind is set. He says the racial discrimination he felt in North Sudan is still fresh on his mind. He felt like an outsider there, and also divided.
I think there is a part of me who was here in the south, you know, in the other in the north. But now when I be here, I will be completely, you know. That's why I see the part of me is come to me, and I'm completely now. And I can start from beginning, from the zero. Now on, just from the zero, I can start it.
It took one day to build his first house in South Sudan. Now, Angelo contemplates what to do next. Like tens of thousands of other Southerners who are coming home for the first time. Casey Kaufman, Al Jazeera, Awil, South Sudan.
So just to let you know that we followed Angelo and he wasn't able to find any work, so he had to go back to Khartoum. Mr. Benjamin, how are you going to fulfill the promises you have made to those who have moved to the south if you have this border issue with Abyei?
Yes, absolutely. These are challenges for any nation which is coming up. They are tremendous challenges, but they are not unsurmountable. We believe as an elected government of the people, by the people of South Sudan, they have the confidence that we will have the ability to resolve some of these challenges, which are tremendous. And there's no country, as you know, in the whole world that has no challenges. Challenges are always there, and that's the meaning of forming nations, to resolve those challenges, of which the citizens will have the right, whether the elected government will be able to do so. And we are confident, as an SPLM-led government, which is based on democratic principles, on the will of the people, we shall be able to resolve some of these challenges with our resources, which are actually virgin resources.
And there are many challenges, aren't there? I mean, you haven't even worked out how to share oil revenues, for example.
Yes, we have been very, quite good with the North. We said for the last 6 years we have been sharing the oil from the south, 50% to the north to the national government and 50% to the south. And this ends on the 8th of July, but we are saying since the infrastructure is in the north, the oil fields in the south, we can still discuss and cooperate to use the infrastructure in the north, and we'll definitely give some oil grants for the government in Khartoum. We are not saying we will not give them any oil. And that's what we said even in Abyei. If the issue for them invading Abyei is connected with oil, let's sit and discuss it, and we can always resolve it. Already now, by the way, for your information, the government in Khartoum are airlifting Masseria trucks by planes into Abyei, and they are burning houses, looting the whole place. Now, what type of national government that does that? And that's why we say the intentions are not good. We have an agreement, and we as a government, we will respect that agreement. We will see that it is implemented. And we expect the Security Council to ask the Sudanese armed forces to leave Abyei and leave it under the presidency as it is stated.
Okay, let me jump in there and quickly put that to Mr. Abdul Atti. I mean, you're saying that you're asking for the forces to leave. The U.S. has asked Khartoum to withdraw its forces. Are you going to listen to the U.S.?
Yes, I think that the government of Sudan is really fully committed to CPA and the protocol of Abyei, and nobody can instruct the government of Khartoum to do something, but I think the government of Khartoum is ready to negotiate and to sit with SPLM to find a solution and resolution for this, whether to agree upon any agreement, and they should all fulfill what to be signed, or to conduct the referendum of Abyei very shortly, so that to find a settlement or a final resolution for this problem. I think that a joint committee is already formed, and the SPLM should respect that procedure taken by the joint technical committees about all outstanding points, whether about demarcation of borders or sharing of revenue or citizenship or Abyei problem.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, from listening to both gentlemen and from what you know, what's been happening on the ground, is this secession likely to take place? Will both sides have put in enough to make sure it'll be a peaceful one?
Well, this is certainly a very big last-minute crisis on the road to secession, but I think it's important to remind ourselves how many times both parties have committed themselves to the peace agreement, and it's reassuring to hear what Mr. Abdul Atti and Dr. Benjamin are saying about the centrality, continuing centrality of the agreement. So I do see the secession going ahead in July. I think one of the problems in Sudan is that both it's run by these two parties that have got a tradition of brinkmanship in their political dealings with each other, and that can baffle outsiders. And both parties are now under a lot of pressure, internally as well as externally.
Okay, but do you believe that this is indeed going to go ahead?
Like
Sorry,
Abyei.
Eddie Thomas, I'm going to have to cut you off there because we've run out of time. Eddie Thomas, talking to us, thank you very much. Also, Rabie Abdul Atti, a member of the NCP, and Barnaba Benjamin, Minister of Information for the Government of Southern Sudan. Thank you all three for helping us understand the situation a lot more. And thank you, as always, for joining us on this Inside Story. We welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Goodbye for now. Thanks for watching.